Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Each One Teach One. The Each One Teach One program is designed to harness the experience and expertise of our alumni community. We encourage all alumni to become presenters, to share their knowledge, insights, and passions with the entire group. The program covers a wide array of subjects. We've had presentations on different subjects. And all of the presenters, of course, are our alumni. And they provide us valuable insights on a topic of their choice. So we encourage you to participate in this program, present yourself as potential presenters. Today, we're going to be hearing from Wole Akinwunmi. Wole is going to be talking about navigating and prospering on the 5th floor. Thriving purposefully on the 5th floor, living your best life yet. Sorry about that. And let me introduce Wole, the presenter. So Wole is an accomplished event concept developer and delivery consultant, and he has a strong passion for innovative thinking in the corporate event space. His work focuses on crafting meaningful and impactful conference experiences that leave lasting impressions and legacies for the host organizations. Before venturing into event management, Wole spent 12 years in strategic planning and performance management in the UK civil service and the local government. During this time, he oversaw key projects in building control, housing, urban regeneration, and contributed to the development of sustainable communities. Wole holds a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Lagos and a postgraduate conversion degree in housing and urban regeneration from Middlesex University. His journey in event management began after a career shift inspired by his experience in developing and delivering youth and community engagement awareness events. In addition to his professional endeavors, Wole actively contributes to his community. He serves on the executive board of the Society of Caribbean and Africans as a volunteer vice chairperson. He also volunteers as a lead culture and heritage content consultant for the Next Chosen Generation in Essex, UK. Wole's diverse background spanning government, charity work, and events management underscores his dedication to fostering meaningful connections and impactful experiences across various sectors. Please join me in welcoming Wole Akinwunmi. I'm going to stop sharing. Wole, if you would please share. And
hello everyone, and thank you for coming out today. Thank you, Deji, for the introduction. Like all those who have come before me, very happy to share my own experience and give my own insights into our each one. And I had a long thought about, okay, what was I going to present? And I thought, well, I'll just use my own experience of how I've been able to find myself where I am today. And hence, I'll be talking about, I'm just going to share my screen. I'll be talking about my purpose today, which is thriving purposely on the 5th floor, living your best life yet. So why did I choose this topic? Because most of us have reached that 5th floor already. Some of us are well into it. I very much doubt if there's anyone in our set not yet 50. There is. They're probably just on the verge of stepping into that. So without further ado, I'll go on. That's my topic there, and that's me. You've heard all about me and what my journey has been. So let's go into the nitty-gritty. So 5th floor, obviously we know is when we get over the age of 50. I don't know when or how that developed over the years, get it over 5th floor, 4th floor, 6th floor, blah, blah, blah. but it's come to stay. And obviously, at the fifth floor is when a lot of people start taking revaluation of their life and look at what worked and what didn't work, and then they start thinking ahead in a few years' time, and then you have to start planning. But along the way, life happens. So when life happens, what else comes along? We know that there are all sorts of things that happen. You get work, you have children come, you do different things. And with all of that, it's changed. Things are changing constantly while we're living life. And we know that change is the only constant thing, and it will come. It's inevitable. Can't help but to get there when it happens or expect it to happen. And like I said, that's what happens from your when you're a baby until you're old. So we have to start planning for different things along that line. I'm one of those people that I like a lot of quotes, and they help me put things in perspective. So as you can see there, the first quote I have says, "You can't go back and change the beginning, or you can start where you are and change the ending." That's a quote by C.S. Lewis. Don't ask me who he is, but I find these quotes in different places, and I say, "Oh, I like that," and I just keep it for myself and use it for myself. So we find out that life happens, different things happen to us at different times. But the advantage we have about change that we know when it's coming, we know when and what to expect from milestone life events such as the funeral. So you know that you're going to be replying in a few years' time. You have to start planning what you want to do when you or want to go into another direction or how you want to retire. The good thing is that you can now plan for it, influence it. So plan how you want to do it and also how you want it to turn out for you. Still on life happens. We we know that all that change is happening. How the best way is you just have to embrace it. You can't do anything about it because it's coming. It's coming. And especially on the fifth floor. In this day and age where we live, before we got online, we were talking about lifestyle, healthy lifestyles, your health you're taking your health more seriously, particularly here in the Western world where here in the UK there's a lot of about health and well-being and mental health, all of that. Um, Even though it might seem insignificant in certain places, which I very much doubt, picking up traction as well, getting noticed. But things like mental health start being of serious ponderance and serious thinking. Look, I don't want to um, do certain things at certain ages. I just want to relax. But on the fifth floor, this is where we start thinking a lot. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do. So it's in our best interest to prepare for change when we know it's coming. And when we as we're doing that, we also embrace change for the best of the expectations that we are looking to get out. So that's where the influencing comes in. How do you make it work for you? And along the line, to do that is to acquire knowledge for new things that we want for the turnaround that we want in our lives and using our past experiences. So why do we do this? We do transformative. So life change after 50, that involves significant shifts in personal and professional areas such as your career, such as career reinvention, looking for new things to do or adopting healthier lifestyle, like I mentioned. So how do we do that? You use um whatever wisdom, knowledge, insights that we had, and the resilience that we've built in getting that knowledge, and then you turn them into a renewed purpose to grow positively. And that is why I'm looking at why part of my topic, living your best life here. Best life most of the time, I think is just how people want to enjoy themselves the best way possible. But best life in my head means living a life of purpose that grows, using your opportunities. Still on life happens. So living your best life, how do we do that? What is living your best life? Like I said, making a conscious effort to pursue life, a life that aligns one's values, your passion, your purpose, and focus on your well-being, your personal fulfillment, and making meaningful relationships along the way to help you grow into that space. How do we do it? It involves embracing change that brings you the satisfaction and sense of accomplishment that you have done something wrong, while accepting challenges, any seemingly challenges that would come along the way, and turn them into opportunities for you to change the circumstances and to thrive in those situations. So, best life living components. Let's see, what does that entail? Align your actions with your values and your passion. So, what are the things you want? You have a set of values. There are certain ways you live your life by. Some people don't want to go out after certain times. Some people don't want to eat certain things anymore. But how do you align them with the things that you enjoy doing? Pursue fulfillment, joy, and personal satisfaction. So you look for what makes you happy or fulfilled. Maybe I should use the word fulfilled in a positive way, because when I say what makes someone happy, that could be killing someone or just being a nuisance to make someone being a. So when I think fulfillment is the right word to give you purpose, something in a positive direction. What fulfillment do you have and personal satisfaction in the right direction that would uphold you, that will give you satisfaction, that will give you a sense of accomplishment in the direction. So I also prioritize meaningful relationship and well-being. All of this, I've been mentioning this over and over again. Well-being, and it also deals with how you relate to people around you, family, friends, workers, colleagues, in all spheres of life. And then they have embraced the challenges as opportunities for growth and change. So I don't have money, it's a challenge, but I have to look for, okay, opportunity for me to find how I will sustain myself, or how to make a better living, or how to find another way of doing something else. So living life with a purpose. That's a purposeful life. Few examples here. Again, like I said, I work a lot with quotes. They help me again. You can start the next chapter of your life. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one, which goes against the principle of change. You can't stay in one place and expect something new to happen. So the next chapter of most of us is this fifth floor. By God's grace, we'll get to sixth, we'll get to seventh, and we'll all get to a place where we'll be comfortable with ourselves until we decide, when God decides to call us back home. While we're in stage, um, it is a new one. So you need to start thinking ahead about what you want to do. You can't keep saying that, okay, me now, I'm just gonna sit down here and wait for something. We have to be active about every stage of our life. I'll start with a few examples. This is a gentleman called Stanley Tucci. Um, he's quite popular. I think he has a series on CNN. But prior to that, Stanley Tucci he's of Italian heritage. He's an actor. He's acted in quite a few Hollywood movies, all of that. But he went through a circumstantial change life in his field. So something happened. Life happens, like I said, for majority to be positive things that just goes along the grain of life. Work, retire, but anything else can happen at any time. So like him, he had it was diagnosed cancer in 2018, and after that, he decided to go into a new direction, going into culinary and cuisine, and that's what life around now. So he has his own. That's how he gets his own personal fulfillment. He has, I think, series on Italy is to experience, go through his heritage, which is how he found his passion for. He's not a cook, but he just goes around exploring the taste of his heritage through cuisine. So he's Italian, so he travels around Italy, just looking at this is this food, this is that. And that's how he is living his own best life. Reflecting on his experiences and love in many books and stuff like that. He does. Um, and the lesson about him is that he's been able to transition from actor to best-selling author, and that shows how personal challenges can lead to new and rewarding paths. One way. The other person is someone who we all know, Oprah Winfrey. So we all know she started as a TV, started reading the news, got fired and a few times, went into um, chat shows and all of that. Now, she might be, I don't want to say she's an exception, but she's been able to transform from one path and then continue in her passion along the same line and build on it. So the first example was somebody who went completely against the grain of what he was and stepped into something else to live. Someone like Oprah is someone who went along the same line and has happened to be able to build upon it. So there's when you face challenges and then when you grow, you build on your opportunities. So lesson with Oprah is that Oprah's ongoing success illustrates the power of reinvention. So even though she's still in the broadcast, but she's able to reinvent herself, bring herself in like I said, different platform where she's able to be in a position of influence to come to so many people and demonstrating that new beginnings can also be as fulfilling. So going forward, so living your best life, the process of how. Uh, I thought I'll give you my story of how I transformed from a career in technology into event management and now part-time modeling. Um, so we all went to ISL. I'm sure some of us had those parents that chose our subjects before we even, I'm sure before we were born, they had already decided I'm going to have 4 children. One would be a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, and an engineer. That was their dream for them back then. Luckily, my parents managed to have 3 out of those 4. The only one they missed out on was the doctor part of it. Even though my father tried to first of all push me into medicine, I just kind of gave one silly excuse. One day I could have done medicine if I wanted to. I just gave a silly excuse. I don't like precise, which wasn't true. So he decided, all right, you're going to do engineering and like using your subjects you write from. Read this is so eventually I ended up doing 9 subjects in ISL. So I thought I was going to do it. My father chose the subject in this, and then I ended up doing engineering. Now I enjoyed studying engineering and just studying it. He wanted me to do electrical. I ended up doing civil. As if you'd have thought it would have ended, okay, he's doing the civil engineering. After my first year, all unknown to me, my father went to see the dean to say that he wanted me to change electrical. And they had already set up a date for me to come and do some test. I just put my foot. I said I just deliberately didn't go. So I ended up being disabled anyway. So pretty much my life was built around it. And I come from a family where we have lots of engineers. So I did all of that. Um, After youth service, I came to the UK. I wanted to do my masters and all of that, but they were being really funny here in the UK. Maybe because they thought this was just coming from that not to like that. I kind of put my foot down. I wasn't going to do any qualifying exam because of the main because of the fact we Nigeria uses the same system as UK. Our code of practice, engineering, our standards, are all this everything UK uses. There shouldn't be any conversion. That'd be a different thing if I went to the States or America or any other part of Europe. I know that even people who study medicine in Russia and Ukraine, when they come to Nigeria, they have a conversion. So I didn't want to do that. So I ended up going to my master's in housing and urban regeneration. And I worked for a while doing um, that. So working on things like the Olympic, UK, and London Olympics, and doing building. So that was the closest to engineering I did. And then came 2008. Then we had the credit crunch in the UK, and there were lots of redundancies, and I was made redundant. And I I got no actually that was before the credit. There was some reshuffling or whatever. So I was made redundant, and I that's how I left the my role in technology and housing and all of. Luckily, I got another job and in local authority and started working in performance management. Very close, similar to project management, only that we don't do all the. We just look at the end result. Is this working? Why didn't it work? And what are the lessons and the outcomes, measuring all of that. So I did all of that, and then this is when credit crunch actually. And when the credit crunch came, that hit me really bad because I was out of work for 3 years without not earning a dime or anything. And when all of that happened, and now somebody now not offered me, asked me to apply for a role. After they did ask me, I asked someone to apply for a role in church, and the lady didn't apply for it. And I said, you that you don't have job, you asked someone to apply for it. So I applied for the role. I got the role. It was a church administrator, charity administrator role, because my church was a charity. When the role wasn't stapled particularly in what the church was doing, it was stapled more into church as a charity and expanding it. Now, working in a church is good, but it's not really there's not really much room for expansion. It's very charity, and it's no fault of the church. It's just how it is. The best way to move forward is if somebody above you either dies or leaves the role. So I was there for like about 7 years, and one of the things that happened while I was there was my son's school. Then there was um, a a group of parents, African and Caribbean parents. And because I have my mother is West Indian, my father is Nigerian. So I just fitted into the group. And then they started doing a lot of events, and that's how I got into events. And towards the end of my role in the with the charity, one of my colleagues asked me to go back. Why don't I, since I enjoy doing the events, why don't I go into and study? I could have said I wanted to do parties or weddings, and I'd done a few of that. Honestly, I could not, for the life of me, just enjoy doing those things because it was apart from what stressful, shedding Nigerian parties. You never so most of the time they don't appreciate your work. So anyway, I said I wanted to focus on something different. I wanted to work in engagement, youth engagement, community engagement, and that's what I did. I could have done a 6 months course, but I said, you know what, I want to do it properly. I went back to uni and I retrained for it. And immediately after I graduated, then COVID came. So we started working from home. Really, I got back to work. I had to the charity where I was working now had to restructure and downsize. That meant I lost my well, I didn't lose my job, I was let go. I wasn't and understand that there was a lot of restructuring after COVID and a lot of things had to be let go. My role was one of them. But luckily, because I had done some consultancy work along the way, um, I was headhunted on LinkedIn for the role I'm in now. And I've been doing that for a long time. And that's how and one of the reasons why I was even afraid to even go back to and study was I think I was 48 when I went back to uni, and I graduated I was 47 and I graduated when I was 9, when I was 49. And I was thinking, you're going to go to some class, you probably be the oldest, but funny enough, there were even people older than me in the class. So I did all of that, graduated and got headhunted, and then started working. And I was also worried that by the time I graduated, there are much younger people that they want to employ. But I got ahead. So there's that, you have to have faith and belief in yourself that, you know what, things are good. You are doing this for purpose. And also think there's something that as an older or as a matured person you bring to the table. They feel that, well, this one has worked for some time. He's not in a hurry to rush off to the next best job. So, and I think maybe that's also one of the things why I was headhunted on LinkedIn. Now, the part-time modeling is me living my best life now because when probably for some of us who when we're in university probably did some of these things back then. Um, maybe for magazines or you did TV commercials that you just pray that your parents never ever got to see, and you for always some auntie or something. But I did some of those in university for magazine covers and do some artwork shows for certain people who were in professions. And when I returned to the UK, I thought, okay, let me give it a go. And the very first place I went, they told me, can you do some nude work? My head, nude like how? So I just pushed that aside and left it. Like, you know what, I'm not just forget it. So then again, if I while I was doing the event somewhere, somebody approached me and said, "Oh, do I want?" I said, "Look, if I'm going to do, I gave them my terms and conditions. This is what the only kind of work I'm doing. I'm just going to do editorial work, and then maybe commercials. I haven't done any commercials yet, so it's an old passion of mine that I'm now. The work is not there as in like obviously, yeah, the younger people, the way the market is now, everybody it's open to everybody's market. And I've been pursuing that for about 2 years as well. So and that's me just living my part of my best, enjoy doing something that I used to do before, and now and I don't know. Sometimes maybe you might on my EPs on what this is one of the modeling shots. But that's just my story. I transitioned from something, and then a certain part of my life I wasn't working for 3 years, and I just at some point I actually felt suicidal. I was like, you know what? So what's the point? I just like, no one. I'm not even applying for anything. What's applying? And they don't even respond. You know, I would have been happier even if someone said, you know what, thank you, but no thanks, we don't. But that wasn't happening, and got to where I am now. So that's my story. But moving forward, so best life living. What have I been able to get out of all of that? My experience. What have I learned? I think it's good to identify your passions, what you enjoy doing that makes you. And I don't know whether it was I or I spoke to at one time. when she was thinking about what can she do. And I said, look, one of the things that I've learned is use what you enjoy doing to make you happy or make you a living. So maybe you enjoy playing music. You could say, okay, you know what, I'm going to be a DJ, or you maybe you could use that as well as a way of like, or you have a lot to talk about, you have a lot of it. He shared his knowledge about Bitcoin. Those are something that he enjoys doing, something make other people. So learning is for life. It's never too late to learn. We discovered the joy that I did. Um, maybe and like, okay, yes, I know learning in the UK or the US is a bit different from how we learned back in Nigeria back then. I don't know how it is now. Most likely as so learning in a way can be enjoyable. It's the process of how you there's still the stress of trying to get a lot into your head. But I think, like I said, when you know what you like, it's not like when my parents said, you're going to do engineering, that's the end of story. If you know what you want to, when my son said, my oldest son, incidentally to he's studying civil engineering, I told him, I said, I hope you're not doing this because your father is civil engineer, because trust me, I never really worked as a civil engineer. I have nothing to tell you. Everything has changed now. I can tell you what it is about. Do it because it is what you want. So when we never stop learning, there's the saying that the day you stop learning is when one dies. And we learn every. So learn if you choose something that's passion, you enjoy learning. Like I enjoyed during those events. One of the events I do very much is Black History Month, which is something we do here in the UK, and I know they do it in the US as well. It's just a way of getting people of Black heritage to know to connect with. Okay, this is where certain people came from. This is why how we also contributed into society. We just come here out of our own will, and we're just not a lot of silence. So I enjoyed researching about things. These are some of the things that I. So you use your passion and your interest, unlock that inner passion, let it work for you. If some of you enjoy cooking, if some people enjoy doing makeup, if some people enjoy grooming hair, let that work for you at some point. Let find a way of how it can bring you joy. It could be maybe you want to write a piece on it, or you want to teach other people how to do what you know, or you want to give advice. This is what all these influencers do. They just come, something they enjoy doing. You see someone who is a food critic. They eat everywhere. They can't cook anything, but they will tell you it tastes good or what work, how it doesn't work. And read more about new interests and opportunities. So apart from knowing what you enjoy before, find out some other new things that you think, okay, this sounds interesting. I think it's something that I would like to look more into and maybe can work with me. Find an interest. So some of us now going into our 50s, some of us are retiring. You have to start thinking, okay, let me look for something new to do. I went into events management. I didn't have a passion for events before. In fact, I knew nothing about it. Because all of a sudden I fell into it, and I enjoyed doing it all along, and that way to build up upon it. I went back to study for it and found opportunities within that event space. Most people would say, think an event manager, all they do is parties, or they do weddings, or they do music festivals. But I work in the corporate space. I do conferences, but that is just my day job. I have in my own head what I would like to, on my own. I would like to work with young people, millennials and Gen Z kind of people. Some people do sports event. They're different. It's a whole opportunity within that space. Likewise, in any, just like those who go to do medicine, it's very diverse. Engineering is diverse. Accounting is diverse. So when you learn new interests, there are other so many ways of going into delivering that new interest. You might say, "Oh, I'm going to read about interior design," and yeah, you want to work in office, you want to write a column on it, you just want to um you want to work in home spaces, and it's just every way has a diverse outlet of what it can, or whatever that new passion or new interest opportunity itself in. Um, I always use this to tie everything. Forgive me if not everybody is religious, or not everybody here is of the Christian faith. But like I said, I enjoyed this. Quotes help me. I believe knowledge can be gained anyway. So that's after Hosea 4:6. It talks about my people perish because of lack of knowledge. If you don't learn, will perish. And I know that in the Bible, then it's talking about knowledge about doing, right? But either way, everything can be interpreted into every situation we find ourselves. So basically, what Hosea 4:6 is talking about is ignorance or the lack of knowledge. It keeps us in a destructive. We do not grow. We do not progress. We do not keep learning. So continuing on what I've learned, I, did, I decided to put a picture of Karen William from Soul to Soul here, which talks about back to life, and that is revive old uncompleted dreams and explore new pursuits. So maybe you started something like I used to do modeling when I was in Unilag, even though, and then now I'm doing it, and then I explore, that's an uncompleted, or like I said before, explore new pursuit. Um, Retrain in a new or different direction. I want to. So when I say retrain, it doesn't mean, oh, go back to university and study an MBA. It could be something as small as fashion design or photography, or different or learning how to bake a cake or something like that, things like that. So do something that doesn't have to be so elaborate, but do something that is different from the norm, and see how you can make that work. Um, Build on passive or on you. So some, like I said, some of us have talents. In university, you have the ladies who are always doing hair. You can use that as well. Try and make something of yourself. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be go and open one salon, but maybe you're the auntie who gives advice, and the one who helps all your nieces do their hair. And like, okay, you can now decide, okay, I'm going to teach you how to braid hair. I'm going to teach you how to sew a blouse. I'm going to teach you how to do different. So build on your passive or use. Just because you were really good back then doesn't. You could have been very good at drawing when we were in school, and because of that, you are now in a different line of work. Doesn't mean you can't go back and not do that. Reconnect with old acquaintances. Now, this is the whole essence of when we got together as um, coordinators. I think one of the things we found out was that there was a lot of disengagement, not unengagement, disengagement. A lot of people were not connected. So it, some of the things that we find about living your best life is going back to what you used to have, reconnect with old friends. Uh, Thank God for the people like Emma Clark and Facebook, where I think where all this whole ISL thing, reconnecting just started, took off from there. And when you're in the midst of people who you grew up with, you have a lot of commonalities and similarities that you know what you don't feel shy. I think it was Judith who said something some time ago. Said, "Don't see me finish." I was making fun of it. I said, "All of you, I've seen you in Cortina and knee-length socks." So the way we make ourselves look glamorous today, it doesn't really matter for us because we've known each other really well, and we've seen each other at some point maybe cry from being with a kid before, whether you're a boy or a girl, and then now you're a big man and you think, oh, they don't. But like you've seen our vulnerabilities. So when you reconnect, you're able to share that commonality. establish new acquaintances as well, even within the old people that we've known each other. There's some of us that didn't really used to talk back then, and then you think it's also an opportunity to um build new relationship from old acquaintances. I'll give you an example. I knew Demolako in ISL, but we were in different classes. We didn't talk that much. I know Ayo Adekoya as well. But because of all of this that we've all grown up, I now have um very strong relationship with people like this. And that's why I said establish new acquaintances from the ones that you already know. At the same time, it also helps to establish new acquaintances from in other areas as well, because you never know where your next opening door or your next opportunity comes from. So what have I still learned as well? Make a difference, be to someone or be part of a noble cause where influencing someone's life is. Volunteer in something, whether it's in your church, whether it's in your local community, or volunteer to do something even within our own small ISL group here. So when we say things like, oh, the current coordinators are coming out, we need people to be able to steer a certain project we're working with, step into new roles when people step out. This is where it gives you a sense of purpose. You're doing something, you're keeping yourself. And with that, you will be building something up for yourself that helps you to make your life worth living and fulfilled. Um, like I said, living your life yet on the share a document of your knowledge and experiences. So you might want to, somebody might say, you know what, my life has been a life of suffering. I won't work for 10 years. Or you live a life of regret, and like there's something that they keep saying every test is a testimony, or every turn a mess into a message. So share your experience. If everything you know that has been happening has not been a good experience, you can document that and share that with someone, and then you help someone not to fall into that mistake that you have made, or how to do things better than you did. So it's teaching people how not to go the wrong path, or sharing your best experience with that as well. So that's helping someone to help influence someone's life with both good and bad experiences that we've had before. And then you find out that you are living a life of purpose, helping someone. Become a mentor. You could be a business mentor, like Deji was teaching us about Bitcoin. You could be a life coach. Somebody needs a nephew. You don't have to go and work for an organization and be at work. You could be a spiritual mentor wherever you are. Going forward, so using another example, this is Timaya. I can't keep myself. So this is your well-being, which, like I mentioned at the beginning, is something that very, very big in most societies. Every little thing. I have to gauge how your body and your mental state is reacting. We all know Simone Biles, the gymnast from the US, I think last year or 2 years ago, just said, you know what? Even though she's the best gymnast, she said, you know what? I'm not in the right space to go out and doing so. I'm stepping back, and you put yourself first. Focus on what you're, first of all, focus on what you're grateful for to maintain a positive outlook. Always look for the positive in everything. Earlier on, my bad experiences, but turn that into a good outcome for yourself. All right. Yes, I have all these regrets. I did this when I shouldn't have done this, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make sure somebody else doesn't go through what I went through, and use that as a sounding board for someone else. Put your best experiences forward. Always challenge your negative thoughts. Do not have self-doubt in yourself. Always go with a can-do attitude, and whatever it is if something doesn't work, I think it was Albert Einstein who says, "Oh, he's found so many ways of how not to make a light bulb or light bulb go on until he found out how he got his eureka moment, light bulb. So when something goes wrong, don't look at it as a regret. Look at it as you've just learned how not to do something. You found one way how not to make something, how something doesn't work. Build a network, support yourself, surround yourself with supportive friends, family, and peers who would encourage you. You do not need to detract. You do not need can't do people. You need the people who will tell you, go for it. You do not need doubters. And if you are around you, just say, I've heard. And although that doesn't mean that there won't be people who won't give you reasons why certain things might work or might. With that, always have people who will tell you the truth and engage with groups that share similar interests. So if you want to go into events, if you want to go into photography, share or cooking, find out people are okay. I have this idea. What do you think? They people who have failed, people who have succeeded should be able to tell you this is what works, this is. And also, you are not indispensable. You can't do everything by yourself. You're not the be all end all. That means you should also have someone who you are accountable to. Your wife, child, your friend, or a higher power, ultimately to God. I think it also depends on which space you find yourself. If it's a spiritual thing, have a prayer mentor, someone who you can share your burdens with. And I think basically what I'm thinking is that you should be able to have someone who will tell you, not only tell you the truth, but sometimes you also need someone who can tell you need that one person that you will say stop and you have. So living a life. So that's most of what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to leave the family and work intention. What I said, why I said that is because I gave the example of Sandy Tucci and Oprah Winfrey earlier on. I thought maybe, okay, they are rich, they are celebrities, and let me bring it closer to home. And I looked very hard and I said, who is that? And again, another quote, it's not in the strongest of species it's not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most inherent, but the ones who are most responsible. I looked, oh, who can I find? And I had to do a lot of searching. And I came up with Sheikh Ondegbami, who at least most of us know. Footballer, he too was an engineer. I know he studied engineering. And after football, back then, for most of the people in his generation, once they retired, that was it. They ended up with Canary, and then they now see them on, they'll say, oh, you hear them on the news, this person is sick, he can't pay his medical bills, everybody should rally around and then you now start thinking, but when you were earning millions as a, what did you do? Bad management. With him, maybe because he studied engineering as well as being a footballer, he managed to cross over into things like broadcasting and advocacy. And I think he also used his passion in football. How successful that academy is now, he was able to do some change around his life well into his late. And the lesson about him is that his successful shift from athlete to leadership and advocacy highlights the ability to embrace new opportunities and make an influencing and impact life, even you get onto the fifth floor. So that I'll leave you with one last word. The best time for a new beginning was yesterday. You can tell I like quotes a lot. The next best time is now. So my last word is go on, start living your best life yet. What's stopping you? Go into whatever area it is, whether it is something new, whether it is something you have done before. Reach out to your old friends that you were very close with, the ones you weren't that close with. Make new friends, find out, read more, study. You don't have to read thick books or books about how you can fly to the moon and back, just things of interest. I think the best way forward is find out whatever you enjoy to do the most and make it work for you. So go on, start living your best life on the fifth floor. Very soon we'll be talking about sixth floor. I think there's one or two grandparents among us who soon start being grandparents, and that's a whole new chapter altogether. So enjoy while you are here on the fifth floor, still working, go on, live your best, gather those experiences, make it work for you, and use whatever knowledge you have now, start planning forward. And that is me. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take it. And thank you for listening again. So, Deji.
Thank you so much, Wole. Very nice presentation. Thank you for courage and vulnerability with us. I'm going to call on the participants for questions. I think one thing that I took away from this talk is that very often some of us put limits on ourselves and start thinking that we ought to be slowing down just because we're on the fifth floor. And one thing I've taken away from this is that you need to manage your health, but other than that, there's no real reason to slow down. So
Very true.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
Questions?
Thanks so much, Wole. No question from my side. They just took the words out of my mouth. There's some stuff that I would want to do or I'd, actually been getting myself into, and then I'll be like, Dayo. Relax by now. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be doing this by now. All those guilt talking yourself, if that's the word, So you've just kind of nudged me this evening to say that I'm on the right track,
Yeah.
So I think it's probably, I don't even know, maybe because of where we come from, as in, the thinking and all that. You kind of think that when you're on the fifth floor, you should put your feet up, Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm just reading the comments. Hi, Bookie Sharon. I remember you as Bookie, but I know you're Sharon now. So good to hear from you as well.
Hello, Wole. This is Oinda. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. I also agree with what Dio said in terms of, sometimes you think because you're getting old, maybe it's time to slow down. But what I've realized, at least from my vantage point, is that, and you kind of touched on it, Wole, that regardless of any experience that we have up to date, all these experiences have given each of us individuals different skill sets, that we can use in today's world. And yeah, maybe during our parents' time, they're always looking forward to retirement and what they're going to do. But like we tell our kids, the sky is the limit. That also applies to us. And that there's nothing we can't do. We shouldn't limit ourselves. And I think that's really the bane of one of the takeaways from your talk. Don't limit yourself. There are times when, because in Lagos, it's like, oh yeah, old, but we're not even old by today's standards. We are young. They say 50 is the new 30. And maybe I'm just trying to psych ourselves, but we're all still very young. And, hopefully we continue to even inspire our own kids, also being vulnerable with them. There's nothing like perfection. There's nothing like it all. Over here in the US, we just did the DNC. We have all the political conventions going on and everything. And I think there was a point where Michelle Obama said, we're still going, we've not even started, So I think if we have that mindset, then we're good to go. And like you pointed out, Wole, it's about the maturity that we bring to the next level. I call it being seasoned. We're seasoned individuals that can bring quality stuff to the table. So as far as next life and being in the 50s, it's just now we are more. I'd like to think each of us are more comfortable in our own skin, to take certain risks we ordinarily wouldn't have taken. So just wanted to add to that anyway. Thank you for your talk. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. I think, like I said, there's been lots, maybe because in the past, our parents were like, you know what, I should have built a house by this time, and once I built my house, I'm just going to sit down collecting rent and not doing anything. I think a lot of, now that our own generation, we're quite active, even when we're relaxing, but we're just not. We still find a way to impact knowledge. Like, okay, so there's some people who just, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to write books. I'm just going to, or they start a YouTube channel. There's a lady in the US, she does this thing on, I don't know where it's YouTube or everybody's so creative. And she does it at what people are cooking. Really, is this what you're going to eat? That's how she found her passion, and she's she's probably over 50 or close to 40, in her 40s, and that's what keeps her sane. I think that's her own best life. And I think maybe because when we hear best life, like I mentioned earlier on, man, I have to be balling on a yacht somewhere, flying from here to there, and yeah, that's good, but best life means a life of value, a life of fulfillment. It's not a life of like, okay, let me just enjoy, but then you're suffering at the end of it. So I think with our parents, they were very passive. And I think maybe the generation just before us or just around some of our generation now, they think best life is live a life of as very flamboyant and all of that. But in true sense, when you say live your best life, is living a life of value, positive value. How does your life impact, first of all, you, and then those around you? How does it add value to those around you? Because one of the things we learned in events management, when you do an event for two people who are impacted, the person organizing, the person attending gets an experience of what goes on. We live in an experience economy right now. The person who comes to the event, it's like going to watch the opening ceremony of the movie. Not this one. I was, as far as that, because I wasn't all so glad. But when typical Olympic ceremony, you go there, you see all the effects and all. So that stays with you. That's the experience. You take that one, no one can take it away. Very intangible. The person who organized it have to have a legacy. That what did I give this people? So on the fifth floor, it's a combination of both. You want an experience for yourself. You also want to think about, what am I leaving behind? There's a common saying amongst most people of Pentecostal faith, that they say when you want to, it's best you die empty, so that you've given your all. That the graveyard is where a lot of dreams die. So people have done this, and you don't do anything about it. You grow up when doing certain things. There's some of us who knew so much about music. You can now decide, you know what, I'm going to just create a group. Like, it could be a group of our friends within ISL as well. I enjoy certain things, and then maybe just meet it every once a month and just talk about, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Last night we were with a group of ISL people, and they were playing old music, and it was such a good time. But you now start reminiscing that, because it's not so much the music, it's that, like I said, commonality, where everybody is together and you can build and feed up each other's joy for yourself in that moment, and then that's your experience that you've taken away from them. And then you now find yourself talking to your children, and then, like, my son would find me and see me singing some of the songs. Like, this is my 13-year-old. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, before you were born, with this same song, is a remix or a remade version of this. I like. I think it was an old time. He didn't believe that we also wore ripped jeans, and I had to bring a picture of me wearing. Like, he could not believe that. No, that his dad actually wore ripped jeans at one point. So I think it's how best we make use of our experiences, tailor what we want for ourselves right now, and opportunities, new experiences, and if not for new opportunities, build on the ones we had. Like Ali Tucci, he went a different direction because of his circumstances. And then also, do not let bad circumstances tie us down. He used that to turn himself around. He had cancer, and I think it stemmed out from watching what he started eating, and because of that, he now went back into all this food you people asking. He's like, reach out as well. At one time, my GP said, "From your cholesterol, you can't eat this, you can't eat this." And like, I was looking at the list of things that I can't eat anything again. We are telling me to cut this, because a lot of the things is based on Western diet. And when you're telling me I can't eat rice, I can't eat gari, I can't eat, what am I supposed to eat? So luckily for me, there was a West Indian lady who was in the hospital. Like, she could tell. She said, "You know what? You just eat what you eat normally, but eat it in moderation." Because a lot of Western advice based on what they know, what's familiar to them. So also, when we go through adversity, use that adversity to help you build yourself, to help you encourage others and influence others as well. It doesn't have to be, oh, this is the end of my life, I can't do anything. On that, like I always say, turn that mess or that situation into a message for someone else, to encourage someone else. Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay,
Good job.
All right. Thank you very much, Wole. And I think we can stop the recording.